welcome to another Searchy session with LinkedIn Live, and I'm really excited today to have a special guest with us, Faraz Al-Masadi from
Thank you very much.
the Group CEO of FAM. What we're really delighted is about sharing expertise and knowledge from not just ourselves, because I truly believe that you can really hear from some great people in the region, and Faraz, I think you've done a great job in creating something quite unique. So if you have any questions on the topics that we're discussing, please do send them in. We really want an interactive session here. So a quick recap on our week so far at Searchy, what's happened, what is going to be happening. So we are nominated for a couple of awards. So tonight is the announcement. So fingers crossed we find out if we win the best futuristic solution. And also we're nominated for GITEX for best AI in enterprise. So that will be announced next week. We also have a huge name who has just agreed and is happy to join and be part of our board. I will be able to reveal all in the next few weeks, but all I will say is that it's a huge honor for us to have someone with his credibility associated with Searchy and helping us really scale and grow globally. We've also got up and coming trips available that are coming up where the team is traveling to Saudi, we're going to be in San Francisco and Singapore and South Africa, all in the next month. So if you're in any of those regions and you wish to know more about what AI is doing in talent, please do reach out to us. So Faraz, for those who don't know about you, would you like to give a little quick introduction about who you are and just to get people familiar?
So, yeah, I'm originally from Syria. I've been in Dubai for the past 13 years. Married with 4 kids, and was a lot more workaholic than today, but I'm still very, I would say, result oriented, but I think I'm just thinking where I should start from on myself. So basically, yeah, I'm the CEO of FAM Properties and the CEO of FAM Living. My core is real estate, but we ventured into other industries such as interior design, Airbnb, outdoor media, and that's within Dubai. We also ventured into London market and real estate. Yeah, so this is in a nutshell. I think as we go the interview, people will know and learn more about me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're very modest for us, because I think there's a whole lot more that I could add to that in terms of the achievements. It's also about standing out, and I think some of the people that do things differently are always asking, like, how should I define myself? How should I define my business? And this is really what we're all about, is doing things differently. And I think you're a great example of someone in your industry that is really standing out, you know, from an innovation point of view. So love to hear.
Yeah, I think the exciting part of my story, the fact that 13 years ago I came with zero money in my pocket, so I started from scratch. I did 1 year selling clothes, and then I saw that the 2/3 of the world's cranes are in Dubai. I decided to not just to watch and join the industry, be an active part. And fast forward, today I own and run a multi-million-dollar group of companies, and real estate is my core. So that's maybe a quicker intro.
And I think going through that path really helps you identify also with people that maybe you're looking to attract, right? Is really the ones with huge ambition, right? We kind of touched on this earlier. So how, you know, if you were to describe the type of behaviors and the type of people that really you look for, because again, some people out there are confused about what type of personality should we look for. So how do you really, you're very sure about the type of person that fits in, right? So
I think the fact that I started from scratch, absolutely from scratch, I'm a big believer in people, and I'm a big believer of what people can achieve if they have the will and they're ready to deploy all it takes. So I really look a lot on the attitude is a very big part of the equation for me. Of course, attitude, personality, and I want to make sure that whoever I'm dealing with also have the same value system as me. So I think that has been a big part of our success at FAM Properties, because I would say real estate industry is very challenging in terms of staff retention. So there's high turnover in most of the real estate companies when it comes to agents. So it's deemed as a short-term business for many brokers. but I think we've been really fortunate in the company. I mean, I have agents who started with me from day one, and they're still with me on board at FAM.
Wow, and they're still there, which is great.
Yeah. And I have many people who started with zero experience, and as long as they have the will and the leadership in the company has basically the knowledge and the passion and the aspirations, they will learn, and they will practice these learnings, and they will gain the required experience in order for them to move on with their lives.
How much support did you have in the early days? Like you said, you moved here with nothing. Do you think it was the support that you had, or was it something that was in you
No, I had zero support.
Okay.
Absolutely zero support. But I always wanted to do more and achieve more, and I had nothing impossible. Because, I mean, in my mind, that long as people have done it once and people are doing it, so it's not impossible for me.
Yeah.
So even, I started my company in March 2009, which was the peak of the economic crisis. And for me, I just told myself, I looked at all the towers in Dubai and I said, gosh, who's going to deal with all of this? This is not going to just vanish and disappear. And if there's only one single transaction that's going to take place in Dubai, then why not me?
Okay.
So, and then I started the company, and today we have over 200 employees, and we have 5 branches throughout the city. We just started our Palm Jumeirah branch, I would say 2 or 3 weeks back. So
talent and culture, like how do you when do you notice culture? Right? Was it from the beginning where you knew what you were looking for right from the beginning, and you were bringing people, or was it a learning curve? Like at what point did you become more aware of?
I think you learn and evolve as you go, but I think when it comes to scalability, it's impossible to scale up if you don't have the right culture. You're gonna meet with a dead end no matter what. So, many people think that they have no culture when they're like small businesses, 20, 30, 40 people. But I think if they grow, it's impossible for them to grow without realizing what culture they have and what they need to fix and what they need to learn and how they can actually evolve. Because scalability requires the right culture and the right system in place. And of course, nowadays, it requires both in an automated way. So the only way for you to enforce a system is when you automate it. And that's why tech sits at the heart of everything we do in the company.
Brilliant. And what are some of the things that you feel have, because you seem like you're a bit more ahead of what people are doing in that industry. So at what point did you start experimenting with tech, right? What did you start with?
Tech, to be fair, it's all my brother. So my brother joined the company. He said, I can build a better CRM than the one we have. And I said, okay, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and he did. So today we have a fully operational ERP, so our SRM, HRM, CRM, and FRM are all Oracle based, and basically I am, from day one, when you look at technology is not just a motto or a label. So technology is for me is a tool that will allow us to mitigate mistakes and to operate in a more efficient and productive way. And like I said, I was blessed with my brother on board who's got that expertise. And we worked hand in hand, me on the commercial side and the operational side, and him on automating all what we have in terms of processes and procedures within the company. And today I would say we're spearheading the PropTech in Dubai in many ways. I mean, we came with many initiatives that no other player so far has come up with.
Yeah, that's great. So I think in terms of...
I just need to take off my... I am too.
Yeah, it's very hot in this room for those who are not. We've got plenty of lights, etc. So feel free to do that. And I think that companies sometimes, when they're growing, I've also heard of different cultures being at the beginning of a company, and
yeah, I need the tissue.
And yeah, so different cultures are sometimes it's okay. Evaluated. So at the beginning there'll be one type of culture, and as you grow you become more structured and need to maybe have more strategic people.
You said you want it natural, so
We're
That's
trying to
as
keep it
natural and
real. So
spontaneous as it can
this
get.
is definitely real, and this is absolutely fine. This shows people that it's not scripted, and we're here live. So if there's any questions, please do send them in. We'd love to hear from you. Like maybe you're in certain industries trying to look at how you can innovate and make yourselves different, and what challenges have you had when you're trying to look at what the values are and needs and so on, right? So we can certainly help with any questions even after the show, right? So feel free to message us, comment and share, and we would love to answer those. So I think in terms of talent and retention, do you feel like attracting talent is harder, or is it retaining the talent, especially your top talent? I would think that they're in high demand.
I think both are equally challenging if someone doesn't follow the right method and the right strategy. So especially in our industry, whether you look at the back office or at the sales force, internally in the company, I say that there are our clients. So we always have to make sure that you have some long-term strategies that attracts them to stay on the long term. And like I said, so far we've been doing great in terms of our staff retention.
Okay, great. And if you could, looking back at the challenges that you had, right, in terms of with people, is there something that stood out for you? Like, did you ever hire people that you were shocked by how they behaved once they joined? Have you had any of those surprises, like some of us? Or
we learned through the process, definitely. We've met many people, and of course, some people, they overpromise you in interviews, and then when it comes to reality, it turns out to be something completely different. And yeah, I think it's a process that you evolve and you grow and you learn as you go with it.
And I think some companies also, when they're using technology or they're using new ways of hiring, for example, I think ROI is difficult to explain, but I think in sales, you live and die by your figures, right? In terms of
definitely.
the team. So I would say, like, in terms of, would you want to, when earlier on you also talked about all of the background that people have, and I think that's lovely. So do you want to share a little bit more about the diversity in your group, like in terms of you've got quite a diverse
for me,
workforce.
the culture we have a very diversified culture. We have, I think, over 25 or 28 nationalities within the company. Over than 28 nationalities, and for me, every person is worth how much they perform and how much results they bring in for themselves and for the company. So we're not associated, the brand and the culture is not associated with a certain nationality, race or religion. Everyone's worth, their work basically and their efforts. And at the same time, within the company, I think it's very important when people talk a lot about creating a career path for their employees and team members, but they don't have probably the system, or they don't have what we call a performance management system to ensure that. So at FAM, we have a performance management system where every employee in the company, whether it's a salesman or it's the back office, because we have quite substantial number of people in our back office, over 100 people.
Wow.
They know exactly what they need to achieve, whether we look at their daily KPIs and what they need to do on daily basis, or we look at their quarterly achievements through their IPAs. People understand what they need to achieve, how they're going to be measured, and what do they need to do in order for them to get to where.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking about their financial earnings or we're talking about their career milestones.
Yeah, sure. So I think having structure is important, right, to give the support to all of these different functions, because even some companies might not value back office functions, right, but if you look at the efficiency of the group as a whole, and you look at the results, if you're looking at revenue, I always say, like, dissect every part of your business, because efficiencies can be made, and I think this is where technology is able to plug in, right, but you have to kind of evaluate, and I suppose you were fortunate enough that your brother...
See, when it comes to technology, I think there's no way for any company to survive, especially over the coming 3 years, if they don't go into tech and if they don't go heavily into tech. And simply the reason, because if your competitors are going tech, there's no way for you to go at the same speed and at the same efficiency, and that will definitely drop you out of the market sooner or later.
Exactly.
And this is, I mean, our slogan is better values, better tech, better results. Better values, of course, is our value system, and then immediately it's our tech. And I think if you have the right value system within your company and you have the tech, better results will always be guaranteed.
Yeah, of course. And I think there's perfect examples of companies out there which have folded, right? That didn't
there
transform.
are plenty of examples, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't transform. And in the UK, unfortunately, recently we had a very old company. It was a travel company that just went bust. And what was sad was at some point they could have transformed digitally, and they didn't, right? They were operating like analog in a digital world. And we hear a lot. Do you think that sometimes like there's too much confusion around the benefits? Like, do you feel like the trust was there with your brother, right? You had someone evaluate, so you trusted. To say that was a stranger who was coming to you evaluating your business, would the trust would have been there? Like, how would you have taken on maybe their opinions? Or do you feel like you were open, or were you more open because it was he was an expert in
No, that? I think normally when we deal with a third party, it has to go through a well-tested qualifying process. We have to look at what they've done before. We have to look at who are their current clients. And of course, as the company grows, you take less chances.
Yeah.
So at the time we started, I mean, I was using one of the CRMs in the market, and I told my brother, if you can build better, build it, let's look at it, and if it works, then we'll use it and we'll scale up from there.
So you built in-house?
Yeah, everything's in-house, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. So
we
you
have Oracle developers in-house, our mobile app developers are all in-house, so
okay.
all our technology is cooked in-house in the back office.
So that gives you a very agile environment, right?
Definitely,
if you need to do something that's more customized, then you have that. So again, something that companies should really think about is not deploying tech for the sake of tech, but looking at what you already had in place, which was a system, and how can you improve that, and then what are the knock-on effects for performance. So it seems like you've created a very high performance culture, and this really operates across the board. So that's really admirable. If we've got any questions, I think we've got here one for Faraz. So one, Avishik, right?
Is it a question? It's not a question.
It's not.
Thank
it's
you
a role
very much,
model.
Avishik.
So for those of you, he said that, thank you for the comment. So he said Faraz is a role model for young entrepreneurs. So learn, right? Learn from the people around you. And what we really wanted to really focus on today is not all the fluffy things. It's not all the, don't worry, life out there is great. You can all go and start a business. No, it's tough. And I was describing it yesterday at an event at Arabian Business. And I said, second to having a child, like going through birth, I think this was the hardest thing that I've gone through by far. So do you think entrepreneurship is for everyone? Like, what do you think? Or should people evaluate if they really want to do it?
I think anyone is able to do anything if they put their mind into it and they decide and they make a decision, and they put the time and efforts into it. And those, because everyone knows also, what suits them, what resources they have, and I mean, many people ask me, how can I start a business?
Yeah.
And I say, if you want to start a business, you first have to have a knowledge, or you have to have experience in a certain business. So your first step is always joining a company, learning, and then you learn about a certain industry, and then if you feel that you can sail on your own, then you go and you start a business on your own. And I think what sets people back the most is that many people think that when I work for a company, I don't want to do my best, I don't want to do more than 8 hours or 6 hours, whatever that time is, because it's not my business. And that's totally wrong, because when you work for 2 years in a business and you work so hard and you achieve a lot, you're actually gaining that knowledge and experience, which is a result of achieving what you've achieved.
Very true.
Because if you have no achievements, you will not get the knowledge and the experience that would get you to achieve these and overcome certain challenges. Yeah. And hence, if you don't have this, you will never be able to start on your own.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's a great privilege when employees are part of companies that are growing, because they're going through this process of growth and they're learning so much that will really allow them to start on their own one day.
Yeah, I think.
Or grow within the same company.
Exactly, and I think Jack Ma said in terms of his PA that was working
Yeah.
crazy hours, and he employed her and said, one day you will be a millionaire, right?
Yeah.
Because she really was part of the company so early on, and indeed she did turn out to be
Yeah.
that. And I think as a person, there's more and more emphasis on the future of hiring and future of work on competencies. What are your views on that? Like, rather than skills, right? So skills obviously still matter, but the weighting seems to be moving more and more towards personality and competencies. So what do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
I think if I have a mean to really identify personalities, attitude, and competencies, I would not look at skill at all.
Okay.
At all. In fact, I told one of my team members, I said, you go to the industry I came from when I was selling clothes, and go to the top salespeople in this industry, and most of these people who come with the right attitude, they will always do great if they're selling, whether they're selling clothes, cars, or real estate. So really, I don't care so much about that. Of course, if someone comes with with experience, you're taking less chances. They will be able to perform faster. But if they don't have the right attitude, they will set you back. So.
Okay, absolutely. So we have a question here from Harvey. How important is it to keep your relationships with developers in real estate, and how do you, sorry.
So it's okay, I'll read
Can
it.
you read it?
Relationship with developers in real estate, and how do you create a competitive advantage versus your competitors? Of course, it's very important to keep healthy relationships with developers, but out of all the developers, we are open to work with everybody, but our focus as a company at a high level, so where we channel our energy, is for the most reliable and credible developers that offer products of which when we sell to our clients will come back to us. So, and I think our competitive edge there is, so every product has two dimensions, One is the fact sheet that the developer provides you in the context of real estate, and the other one is the expert opinion. And what really differentiates us is the way we look at projects and real estate and properties, because I think if any agent would run to me with a fact sheet that I can see online or I can see on a brochure, I don't need the sales agent. But if the sales agent will come to me and tells me, look, this 2+ made apartments is undersupplied because of certain aspects, or because of the view or the price, or they come to me and they say this is underpriced, or this has features that other properties don't have within the same area, and they show me, they explain to me what's in it for me. That's what will allow me to, to say, okay, this agent adds the most value to me.
And I think you've raised a really good point there, that you said that you would take people with competencies, right, with the right attitude. And one of the things I get asked quite a lot is people say, oh, how do I get a job with Searchy? How do I get a job with a company like who's doing this in AI? And how do I join another company, right, which might be equally attractive to them? And I'm like, it's not going to float from the air and just land in your lap, right? You have to really stand out, and you have to make yourself different. If someone's coming to you with facts and they've done their homework, they've done their research, and they've got that thirst, right? They've got that kind of go-getting attitude, which is what you referred to earlier. And again, if you imagine you've got 200 people there, and everybody in that environment, or a very high percentage of people in that environment, have this high energy and this high performance, it gets the bar up as a business, right? You don't even have to think about the top level, because it's happening, right? You've kind of instilled this culture in there, and I think this is where it really is powerful. And then the trick becomes, okay, what about the next 200 that you're hiring? How do you make sure that they join and they're able to do you mobilize people around? Because that's something that we're also interested in at Searchy, is identifying hidden talents in people, right? Because if someone's done something, then how do you develop them in terms of maybe something different in your organization, not just upwards but even across? So
again, when you have a performance management and you have a certain set of KPIs, you'll be able to identify where the strength and the weaknesses in people, and then you look at your operations and you would say, okay, this guy is not performing so well here because he's not playing to his strength in this particular role, right? And then you would move them around based on basically matching their strength with with how they can utilize it the most within your organization.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the other thing is Culture Pulse, right? We've launched a product which is really assessing companies' culture right now instantly, right, within minutes.
Yeah.
Because one of the challenges, and I always refer to this as a CEO, if we grow across the globe, which hopefully we are in the process, if we become 1,000 people company, it's very hard for me to know how people are feeling. I would want to know that. So I think technology, again, can do beautiful things there, where you are able to share a link and start with a reality check of how things are. And being anonymous is really important, right? Because employees, we've all been there in front of managers in the past where I've worked, and you have your appraisals or you talk, and there's certain things that you can't really say. But within the Culture Pulse, you can be as honest as you want because it's aggregated data. So how do you think, is that something that more companies need to be open to sort of see what their culture is like right now to be able to fix or to get higher, or do you think it's not?
I think especially companies that are looking at scaling up, I think it's impossible to scale up without having the right culture. It just can't happen.
Yeah.
Because you're going to meet to the dead end sooner or later.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me a little bit more about your future plans. What exciting things have you got happening yourself, with the group, just your future plans, right? Because I know you've broadened out, you've kind of branched out into...
Honestly, I don't have like long-term plans because I think it's difficult to have a 5 years plan or a 3 years plan for the business. The market is evolving a lot, but I can tell you that my plan is literally go full on technology. I want to automate as much as I can. Anything that can be possibly automated in life, I'm going to automate it at FAM Properties, and that would definitely allow us not just internally but also externally, allow us to offer our clients an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
So whether we look at, we're a very data and statistics driven business, especially when it comes to decision making within our business. I think over the coming 2 years, the expo is coming, the expo is happening. We want to go more international. I think 2019 and 20 will be, 2019 has been already a massive international exposure for Dubai. And we are riding on the same wave.
Yeah, excited about Expo. Yesterday I got asked the question about what invention are you the most excited about to come out of Expo 2020, and there were a few suggestions in the crowd, and I think that there's always something groundbreaking coming out of there, like a product or solution. But I think it brings the focus and the light on Dubai, right, and the UAE.
Definitely.
So for people who don't know, I'm glad to hear that you're a fan of technology. Do you think that it will disrupt your industry? Like, do you think there's going to...
It already did, and those who don't follow, I think, those who don't believe in it, I think will be out over the coming couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think.
There's no way for you to keep up with the speed of tech-driven companies within your industry. It's impossible.
Yeah. And I think one of the clear examples of that is when you're on a hiring cycle, for example, at FAM, do you plan out like per year, like for next year's plans?
Yeah, definitely.
And then when you start hiring, like when do the people normally start with you? Because I think one of the challenges we've had with companies that are coming to us is that if I employ 20 people in sales and they don't start until Q2, I'm already a quarter down before the year has even started. Is it easy for you to find people, like relatively, or is it still a challenge to find the right people? If it was easy,
everyone would have done it. It's always challenging to find the right people. But I think we've been very fortunate with that in the company.
Okay, great. All right, so if you've got any questions, please do send them in. Other than that, I think I would really welcome, thank you for coming in today and being so honest, because what we want to encourage more is, in the next few sessions that we're talking about, we will be talking and bringing in people who have failed and bounced back. What do they do? What sort of mindset did they have? And even when Faraz talks about starting with nothing, I think a lot of people must look at you not knowing about your past and thinking that, you know, you were born into money or you were born into this with an advantage. And I loved the story that you've just shared with us, because also we need to inspire and we need to hear more of this, right? Because if more people can believe and trust their own abilities, and one person said to me once, worry about the things that you can control and don't worry about the things that you can't control, right? So,
yeah, definitely, because then you can have no impact on those. So
yeah, so stay focused, know where you're going, and as a business, if you can experiment with technology, use it in the areas. I think you've had some great results from there. And if you've got any thoughts, then please do send us some messages after. We'd love to get back to you. Thank you.
thank you very much. Thank you.